Hey there, toy collector friends and Battlestar Galactica fans alike, and welcome back to the channel. This is the time traveling toy collector, and this is the Colonial One starship, which actually starts off as an Intersun luxury space liner, but during the course of the beginnings of the reboot of Battlestar Galactica becomes the presidential starship, and is a fantastic, in my opinion, model. You can see it's so long you can't even focus on the back. I don't see if I can get the camera to follow the focus of the pen, so you can get a bit of rear focus there. That didn't quite work as I wanted it to, so I'll try a little bit of manual refocusing. But you can see there that this ship is a particularly long model. And it's brilliant. It's so well detailed. You can see here, I will pick this up shortly and get it in hand so you can have a much closer look. But just look at this here. You can see the detailing here of this down here. You can see the individual windows here, lots of individual window detailing. And actually, I have to comment on this because I know it gets a lot of stick. Eagle Moss and Hero Collector get a lot of stick for this. The paintwork on the windows here, pretty accurate. So let me give this a bit of a spin. You can see lots of the detailing on the forward hull. As I mentioned just now, you get the Intersun logo here. There's also the Intersun logo down here, small but nevertheless very much significant. I'm going to twist it this way, very mindful of trying to keep it in shot. So look at that very slender profile. Reminds me a bit like a Blackbird spy jet in terms of the main fuselage. That's the sort of vibe I get. I know that isn't its intention, but I'd certainly get that vibe. I love the gold livery detailing that we see on that front port there. Really nice, and it follows through along the design of the ship. We can see the detailed line across there and following across the top section and around those dark windows at the back of the main bridge. We can see that. I know I'm going to lose some of it to the side. As I say, we'll pick it up shortly so you can see it slightly closer, but I want to give it that moment whilst I rotate it so you can really get a chance to see this rear section in the same level of detailing. You can see the multiple thrust arrays here, and what looks to me like being the equivalent of an engineering hull, or instead of an engineering decks. The primary thrust here for the ship, the feeders into the primary thrust and secondary thrust. I mean, it's beautifully done, I would say, in the interest of complete disclosure, it doesn't scale particularly well with the other Battlestar Galactica models, but you know, it doesn't. You can't have that in every instance. You have to sacrifice something, otherwise you just couldn't physically get these things into your house. It wouldn't make any sense. So, or this would end up being super small, and I love the size we're getting here. I must admit. The box, it's a similar size box to the box that they all come in, but when I took it out of the box, I was particularly taken, really and truly, by the quality and the detail. Well, by the quality, but also of the size, because it's very lengthy. I'm just trying to get you a sight there of the detailing on these rear panels. As I say, you'll get a chance to see them in a bit more detail shortly, but it really is a beautiful piece of work. I think Hero Collector have done a sterling job with this. It looks great to me. I haven't done a huge comparison of the overall paintwork against the illustrations in the little magazine that comes with it, but I will do. But again, it's such a well-crafted piece that if there are a couple of anomalous errors in the paintwork, they're going to pass me by again. And I think unless you're an absolute die-hard, totally committed to screen accuracy, I think what you get here is very good value for money. Let me get it in hand, and then you can get a real. So again, you can see the length of this ship. It's very light, so don't be fooled into thinking it looks like it's a very heavy piece. It actually is not. I'll move that out of the way. A very heavy piece by any stretch of the imagination. I don't really get a feel of any die cast in this. Now, I'm sure there must be. I'm saying that with a modicum of naive optimism, but it feels mostly plastic, and mostly yeah, I mean, there might be a sense of some thin die cast around the base, but certainly nothing that lends it any significant weighting. So let's start at the front. You can get a real, I'm trying to get it into focus for you. I really think the detailing is superb here. I mean, they've done an excellent job of recreating this Intersun starliner that, through the work of fate, becomes Colonial One, the presidential ship. I won't go into the storyline here if you haven't seen it. Interestingly, the underside colouring looks very much like any number of Federation starships from the Hero Collector's Star Trek Starships range, even down to some of the tampered paint work on there. You can see that we could be looking, if I went really close, we could be looking at one of the Enterprise hulls, curiously. But nevertheless, I really do like what we're seeing here. The detailing on this section that surrounds the whole central fuselage prior to getting to the main thrusters, again, beautifully detailed. It also, while I'm doing tons of comparisons, it has something of a sort of a Century 21 Thunderbirds kind of a vibe going on with that engine array there, and also, let me try and fit it in the box, and also the thrust section here very similarly has a similar vibe. I'm just trying to focus in on the engines there. Interestingly, there's not an awful lot of dirtying. Sometimes Eagle Moss do put a bit of weathering around aspects of their model. This doesn't seem to have too much of that, which is, I think, nice. It's just a bit an observation, because I would have thought they might do. The detailing on these flaps that surround and could conceal that primary thrust section, very, very detailed. Again, I'll rotate it round. Very detailed. Some very nice. This is a degree of weathering here, I think, but nothing overly dramatic. I just think it's a really nice piece. There's some sort of weathered mottling on here, but yeah, I'm just trying to make sure you get as much of the detailing as possible. Let me take it to the top. You can see what I mean there about it looking a little bit like it's modelled on that Blackbird, the stealth jet Blackbird fuselage. But I really think it's very, very nice, very, very nice piece. As I say, it's very light, deceptively light, given how long it is. So it would be very easy. I don't believe it would be particularly robust. There's a real good look at the underside there. Again, the detailing on that surround section is very, very good. And yeah, the more I look at it close up now, I can see a bit more weathering around some of those thrust sections at the front, but I suppose it's just more that I was possibly expected. I don't know why. A bit more around the rear there, but it is a beautiful ship. I think the paint decals overall really nice. The subtle shift in tones of the blue around those thrust sections there. The gold livery, the tired gold livery that it exists across the whole piece. It really is beautiful. And that front section. If I hold it like that, now Star Wars fans watching this are going to judge me tremendously. When I look at that, if I look at it in the right way, I can kind of see, imagine it a different colour, imagine it more orangey. Looks a bit like Admiral Akbar from Return of the Jedi. Yeah, I'm going to stop talking because I'm clearly losing the plot. You can see it. You could see it. Don't deny it. Now, go away and Google it if you're not sure what I'm talking about. So the stand is really good here, nice and simple. It doesn't clip in particularly. So it is more of a, find your centre of balance and go with it type of approach. But that works. I really like this model. It's not complicated. Oops, it's not too. There's not too much going on, but there is something everywhere you look, if you know what I mean. So you're not sort of blown away by complex bells and whistles and dangly bits and this and the other, but it does have a real sense of detail, and it therefore has a real sense of authenticity. I could imagine this level of detail being on a model used for some space model shot sequences, and I will take a couple of photos, as I do try to do for all videos, and see how it holds up when given a bit of a space shoot opportunity. My suspicion is it'll hold up very nicely. Thank you very much. It's a good ship. It's been in and out of stock recently on the Hero Collector website, and I have one other thing to talk about in terms of Hero Collector and Eagle Moss stock. Some of you may be aware that there's a few things that Hero Collector and Eagle Moss have out of stock at the moment, and some of you may have pre-ordered some of their other bits and pieces. I've currently got a pre-order for 2 more of the Doctor Who consoles collection, which I think is unique to online shopping. But there were 2 on pre-order. They've been on pre-order since 2021. It's now midway through 2022 at the time of recording this. And still no sign of them. And I had a couple of comments and a couple of messages from people across my social media commenting on, quite rightly, on the lack of communication from Hero Collector about pre-ordered items. And indeed, when I went to check, the 2 TARDIS consoles, I know this has nothing to do with Battlestar Galactica, but it will have in a minute, I promise you, trust me, was showing as notify me when back in stock, which worried me because I thought, well, have they dispatched the first wave? Have they got a product fault or something? So I actually messaged Hero Collector via their Facebook messenger, and shared my order numbers and said, what's going on with these orders, because they were ordered, almost a year ago and still nothing. And they came back very quickly. I will say their customer service in terms of coming back very quickly was good, because they told me that they were waiting for stock, international stock, to come to the UK, which was being held up due to a variety of factors, which, reading between the lines, could be shortages of transport opportunities. It could be something to do with Brexit. It could be carryover from COVID. They didn't go into detail. I didn't press them. I was just glad that I had confirmation that my orders were secure. They will arrive in due course, and when they do, I will let you know that A, that they've arrived, and B, whether they're any good. Because there were some quality concerns about some of the consoles, that they have wobbly and wonky time rotors. But anyway, I'll pick that up in the next Doctor Who consoles video that I get to do. The reason I'm linking this back to the Battlestar Galactica ships is, as some of you will be aware, I have for the longest time now, it feels like, been trying to get hold of actual Battlestar Galactica ships. Good news, 1 or 2 of them I now have. The others continually show up as being unavailable and on notify only for when they're back in stock, which I've clicked on. And I've had a few notifications from their website to tell me that the ships were back in stock, particularly the 1970s edition of the Galactica itself. I've gone to order it, and it's not in stock. And I raised this with them because, again, from a customer service point of view, it's quite frustrating to get an email to say, go over and buy it now, it's there, it's back in stock. You go there, and it's not. And as an interesting point, I got this email 3 or 4 times, always at 17 minutes past an hour. And I kept them and shared them, and they just said, oh, because I thought it was a fault with the system. And they suggested I was too slow at going back and, and getting my order in. And I think, well, don't tell me they've only got one appearing at a time. Surely you'd have a restock across the piece. But apparently not. So this isn't me knocking Eagle Moss, our hero collector. It is just me saying, you know, if you do have issues, do reach out to their customer service. Yes, it would be much better if they reached out to you as someone that's paid or pre-ordered something and you're waiting for it and there's no sign of it. It would be good to hear from them. But in the absence of that, I've always had good customer service. Mostly. I've certainly never had bad customer service. I've had adequate to good customer service, let's say, by going directly to their hero collector page on Facebook and messaging them through that. So that would be my advice and my recommendation to anyone thinking about getting in touch because you're not sure about an order. If you've placed an order already, do have the order number. Because it makes them respond even quicker and it stops them having to ask you for the order number and creating an additional delay. So that was a little public announcement on behalf of model collectors and toy collectors everywhere regarding Hero Collector and Eagle Moss. Coming back to the point in question, this particular beauty, what can I say in summary? Well, what I always say, I think. Does it have a place in your collection? Is it worth making a slot on your shelf available for the Intersun luxury liner, aka Colonial One from the Battlestar Galactica rebooted and retooled series? Well, from my point of view, absolutely, definitely yes. Not just because it looks like a mashup between something from Thunderbirds, some Admiral Akbar, and a Blackbird stealth plane. But actually because of the level of detailing, the quality, it's all really, really good. And I think alongside the other ships, whilst again it doesn't scale well, because it couldn't, you know, it just couldn't. Because in order to have the Galacticas and the Vipers and the Cylon fighters, the Cylon Raiders, there does need to be some suspension of disbelief when you display these models, because, you know, otherwise it's just not going to work. But hopefully you've seen the beauty of this. I personally wouldn't be without it. I hope you seeing this up close and personal will give you an insight as to whether or not you would want to purchase it if you haven't already, and if you do, brilliant. If you don't, equally brilliant, because it's up to you. It's your money. You spend it or don't spend it how you want. What's important is you make an informed choice. But if you found the video helpful, please hit the like button, please subscribe to the channel, and by turning on that notification, you will never miss a future video which may review Hero Collector and Eagle Moss, or it might do Transformers, Star Trek, Space 1999, more Battlestar Galactica. It could be anything and everything could be in scope for a future video. So thank you very much for sticking around for the last 20 minutes or so. I have been the Time Travelling Toy Collector. You have been a fantastic audience, and this has been Colonial One from the Hero Collector Battlestar Galactica ships model range. Thanks very much. It just remains for me to say, don't forget that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. And I'll see you in the next video. So say we all.